Welcome to Sync Up, a show about OneDrive. We are your hosts, Ankita Kirti and Jason Moore. I'm Ankita Kirti, Product Manager on the OneDrive team.
And I'm Jason Moore, Director of Program Management for OneDrive. This show will take you behind the scenes of OneDrive, shedding light on how OneDrive connects you to all of your files in Microsoft 365, so you can share and work together from anywhere while protecting your work from accidental loss and malicious attacks.
Today, we are excited to have on the show Dave Minasyan.
So don't go away. We've got another great show for you today.
Yes! Happy New Year, everyone. On behalf of the entire OneDrive team, we wish you a happy and healthy 2021. We want to begin this year with a shout out to all our admins. Thank you for being such amazing partners. We as a team are always striving to make your work easier with simpler, granular, and holistic controls. Today, we are very excited to announce that we are soon going to roll out a coherent admin center, converging both OneDrive and SharePoint admin centers so that you can have access to a comprehensive and centralized control over all the content across your organization.
Our guest today is Dave Minasyan. Dave is a PM on the SharePoint admin team working on unified experiences for OneDrive and SharePoint admins across Microsoft 365. Dave, welcome to the show. It's so great to have you on.
I'm super excited to be here.
Great to have you, Dave. We'll kick off the podcast today by asking you initially why we are bringing the change and consolidating the two admin center before going into what the change is. So could you explain to our viewers as to why we are doing this in the first place?
That's a great question, Ankita. This is a question I hear a ton from our customers. So to answer why, we have to really step back a little bit and talk about the evolving needs of our customers in general. One of the key trends we've been seeing over the last few years, and especially over the last year, is that the need for collaboration across our organizations has been becoming more and more pronounced. And this has been driving Microsoft to invest heavily into interconnectivity of tools across Microsoft 365 suite. Now, all this interconnectivity is also driving much of our investments across Microsoft 365 admin suite as well. A huge focus for my team is to evolve the admin experience to gradually address the increasing management complexity that comes with this interconnected ecosystem that we're building together.
That's really interesting to know. Can you share an example as well?
A good example is if you were a SharePoint admin 5 years ago, for example, you knew that sites created in SharePoint are coming from SharePoint and are kind of siloed to specifically SharePoint area. Today, SharePoint is evolving to power collaboration for several apps like groups and teams, and will continue to evolve towards that direction. So as a SharePoint administrator today, you're taking care of sites and files that are actually belonging to groups that were created in Outlook, or team sites that were created in Teams app, and are now showing up in SharePoint Admin Center. And to manage all of this, you have to go to several admin centers that look different, work different, and often have lots of settings and features that you don't need to really accomplish your tasks. This makes wayfinding much harder, and just the overall experience, it's much harder.
It's a great point, actually, Dave, that you bring up, kind of how SharePoint has evolved from this, it's always been this critical platform, but it is now the underpinning of just absolutely massive experiences across Microsoft 365. And so that complexity comes through as you kind of deal with, as to your point, the different admin centers and pieces there. It's kind of we're a victim of our own success. And so I'm really excited about this opportunity we're taking to simplify and consolidate.
As part of our coherence and modernization effort, we're working hard to unify these experiences by bringing consistent design, naming conventions, look, and feel to really enable a smoother admin experience across the board.
Yeah, I mean, I love kind of the journey you just went through in a short amount of time, which is, the SharePoint we all know and love has always been a platform people have built on and used. But, in the last couple of years, it's really truly exploded with all sorts of new creative and kind of powerful tools like Teams. And so, this notion of the interconnection underpinning those things obviously is massive. And I think it's great to talk about how we are thoughtful about reflecting on now that all these pieces together, how do we simplify that? Can you walk through maybe some of the changes that folks can expect when they see this roll out, something that will help them kind of jog on, oh yeah, this is now coming, and also kind of be the existence proof of that kind of improvement?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, as part of this integration, we took a hard look at all the available ODB settings and how these settings fit in context of the suite versus just SPO Admin Center or ODB Admin Center. And what can we do to actually add even further richness to the experience and to the features? So in the classic ODB Admin Center, for example, reporting was really not available. With the new experience in SharePoint, we're adding 2 dynamic cards that will live on the homepage insights platform that's actually coming pretty soon to all of our admins. This will give you the ability to monitor ODB usage and activity across the company, with the added bonus of one-click access to some deep dive capabilities powered by Microsoft 365 admin reports. Another highlight is that ODB sharing settings will now be hosted on the policies page in SharePoint Admin Center, where you will find much richer and granular sharing controls, like controls for managing expiration period and permission for shared links, for example, and several other features like that. Settings that let you control sync across your organization's ODB files, storage limit, retention, and certain notifications will now be available on the settings page, clearly marked with, we actually stamped the OneDrive logo for quick sorting and filtering capabilities. Unlike in the classic Admin Center, all these settings will now support inline validation and error handling, along with enhanced documentation. One other really awesome experience upgrade is the ODB data migration page that is now fully supported as part of the migration tools on the SharePoint Admin Center. And finally, we're planning to release a map of where each setting is going to be relocating to ensure that they're really easy to find in the new experience. So please stay tuned. I hope that you're as excited as we are.
Awesome.
Those are great examples of the changes that we are bringing. And so, Dave, now that we are migrating to this new admin center, what are the advantages that customers could expect?
Well, the modern SharePoint Admin Center is just that. It's modern, right? So as mentioned before, there are lots of benefits that come with modernization. For example, the new ODB settings will now be WCAG 2.1 accessibility compliant. Will support the global reader role and future other roles that might come to the SharePoint Admin Center. We're also looking to introduce long-awaited OneDrive reporting capabilities, like I mentioned before, on the new homepage inside platform that we demoed at Ignite 2020. These redesigned ODB settings will also support more robust error handling capabilities and much better performance overall. It's important to remember that by bringing ODB settings to the SharePoint admin platform opens a door for co-development opportunities from partners across the suite, which we're hoping that will result in faster innovation and improvements.
I think you've been testing this with a number of customers already today, right? Do you have any initial reactions or feedback you can share? We're always interested in kind of sharing what are the different things we're learning through the process of building these pieces and kind of enabling customers to help us co-create on the designs of making these experiences, especially for admins, absolutely smooth and just work really well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been talking to and actually testing the experience with quite a few customers. And overall, the feedback is fairly positive. It's actually very positive, I would say. In fact, around 88% of the folks were surveyed said that they prefer to have the ODB admin settings integrated with SharePoint Admin Center. And they actually give us a really big thumbs up on the enhancements and all the design coherence overall. On the other hand, we also had several customers express that in their organizations, OneDrive and SharePoint administration is performed by dedicated people, separate people, right? And sometimes even teams. Mm-hmm. So although the plan is still to eventually phase out the classic ODB admin center, we're hoping to do that fairly soon. We are currently looking to understand this feedback before we move forward.
That's great. So continuing to really think about how we're going to make these investments and improve the overall experience. We're not leaving anyone hanging with that. I love that you're thinking about that, Dave.
Exactly.
I love hearing about kind of the way we've taken feedback and how we're thinking about how that works going forward, new ideas, things we're doing. And I know, just through all the work that we do, we often have more ideas than we can do right now. There's a lot of thinking we do about kind of the future of these pieces, but also things that we maybe spend some time thinking about and then end up on the cutting room floor. Some of those can be really interesting. I was wondering if you had any examples of things that you discussed, maybe the team planned or even worked on for a bit that ended up not quite happening.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, one of the super interesting one that I was kind of bummed about that we didn't really pursue that got caught was I always imagined as far as a vision, admin standing there, minority report style, controlling their entire tenant virtually, right, with a headset. And that didn't really work out because there's a lot of things that we still need to do within the admin center to get us to a point where everything is working so smoothly where we can bring in that type of technology into it.
Wow. I had no idea you'd been thinking about that, Dave. I think that's, first of all, it's awesome. I love the idea of bringing VR into this. We talked about VR on one of our podcasts, and I'm a bit of an aficionado. And I love the idea of thinking about how these tools can apply and modernize what folks are doing. And maybe just maybe, I'll keep hoping that you're going to bring that back someday in the future. That's a really cool example.
Thank you. It will be super awesome to really get there one day.
Well, thanks, Dave. Thanks for sharing all of that. It's been really great to have you on the show. We always do one kind of fun last question, a little bit kind of behind the humans, working on all of these pieces for SharePoint and OneDrive. This month I was hoping we could maybe share thoughts on a New Year's resolution. Now, I know not everyone loves New Year's resolutions, but I always like to think about, it's a moment of change every new year. What are the things that I want to also change or do differently? And so I'm curious for each of you to hear kind of, if you had a New Year's resolution or you have a New Year's resolution, what's one you would share with us? Ankita, why don't you go first?
I was actually thinking of restarting doing yoga and doing it more frequently. A little more focused on mental health and physical health. So that's a resolution. I've already ordered the yoga mat. It's got delivered, I think, yesterday. Now, all I need to do is start.
That's awesome. No, I love that. And right now, finding things that we can all do at home, and to your point on the great work-life balance and mental health and physical health and all that, I think that's a really awesome one. How about you, Dave?
Wow. For me, I actually have two of them. I have one I actually wrote down for Microsoft for work and then one personal one.
Oh, that's cool.
So I'll share both. From the Microsoft standpoint, I actually love our events where like people events like Ignite and SBC that you go and meet customers and you really get to see the customers that you're building all this stuff for. My resolution for this year is for us to have the chance to go to Ignite and actually, again, see people and see the crowds.
Yeah, absolutely. I miss that.
I know. That's what I was thinking too. It's just, I even talking about it is, I really miss it. From the personal side, I've had this goal to build a bathroom vanity for probably about 6 months now. So I'm hoping that I'll have some time to kind of get that done. And there's a lot of like little projects around the house that I started at some point and they just need to get done.
I'm both impressed with your focus and energy on that and super jealous of you doing, because that is so cool. I wish I could say that I was capable of doing such a thing. So that's okay. Those are both great. I'll say for me, I actually, years ago, I kind of settled on having a single resolution every year. And for a couple of years now, for me, the one resolution that I always have is be kinder. I think about like the last year and what are the things that I can do to make the world a better place and better for the people around me and better for the people I meet and make me happier. And the number one thing I always come to is I can be a kinder person. And so I always think about that every year. And that's kind of the one for me that I always like to align on and just keep in mind. I'm, of course, always open to feedback on Katan where I could do that better. And I'm sure you're more than willing to help me out with that. But no, in all seriousness, I actually find that to be a really great focusing one, and it makes me happy.
That's a great one. Everyone should have this resolution.
I agree.
Dave, thank you again for being on Sync Up. It's been so great to have you. It's wonderful to kick off the year talking about all the work going on, simplifying the lives of our admins. For the folks who've been listening along, where can people find more about you? Where can they learn more about you?
Well, I'm definitely on LinkedIn, fairly actively there. I think that would be the best place.
Awesome. Well, we'll put a link into the show notes so folks can look you up on there.
Yeah, and to learn more about the feature, the convergence that we are rolling out, check out the blog that we've also published along with this podcast, and we'll add a link in the show notes as well. Thank you so much, Dave, for being on Sync Up. It is great to have you and discuss these amazing functionalities that we're rolling out. I hope you had a great time.
Yeah, I had a blast. Thank you very much for inviting me. It has been definitely a pleasure.
Thanks for being on the show. So Ankita, do we have any cool feature releases to share with our listeners this month?
Yes, Jason, we have multiple amazing features to share with our listeners this month. I would begin with a major announcement that we did earlier this week, that now our customers, our users can gain more flexibility with 250 GB file size upload in Microsoft 365. So that is across SharePoint, Teams, and OneDrive. We know that when we launched a 100 GB file size upload limit sometime last year, we got great feedback, but we also got a request to raise it higher. So today we are really, really proud to announce that you can now store, sync, and share large files in Microsoft 365. We have released a blog, and I'll put the link to the blog in the show notes for more information. Apart from that, we released cool functionalities in the month of December as well. So yes, while all of us were in holidays, there were OneDrive team members who were pushing out these amazing functionalities that bring about more coherence in OneDrive, SharePoint, and Microsoft 365. So firstly, now you can create a shared library within OneDrive Web. Right below the list of all shared libraries, you'll have the option to create a shared library. That would be backed by an Office 365 group, allowing you to specify the people you want to share with, and the new shared library appears immediately, and the new content as a new content collaboration space for your team files. Along with the ability to create a shared library from within OneDrive, we are also making it easier for you to access the content in these shared libraries within OneDrive. So no matter where your content is, OneDrive would be your gateway or your entry point to all your content. So not only you can sync these shared libraries from SharePoint and Microsoft Teams to your PC or Mac using OneDrive, you can also view shared libraries with full fidelity from within OneDrive on the web. What does this mean? This means that you can create new documents, pin important ones onto the top, add shortcuts to your OneDrive, create views, manage metadata, share, and more right within your OneDrive for Web. And finally, admins, you can now specify a file name or extension that you would like to exclude from syncing at a device level. This setting will prevent the OneDrive sync app, OneDrive.exe, from uploading specific files to OneDrive and SharePoint. No errors would appear for skipped files, and the files would remain in the local OneDrive folder. So now, as a part of known folder move, if you need to move a desktop folder, which might consist multiple shortcut files, just add .lnk file to the list of the excluded files and prevent them from syncing. End users would be notified about the exclusion in the Activity Center, and you would also be able to recognize these files with a Do Not Enter status in the File Explorer. For more information on all these features, do check out the Roadmap Roundup blog post for December 2020. And now we move on to our special topic. So Jason, what do you have for us this month?
Well, I thought, Ankita, that we might share a conversation we've been having in our own OneDrive and SharePoint team recently. 2020 was a hard year for a lot of people and on a lot of dimensions. And something that we're all starting to recognize more and more is how important it is to be aware of that and to recognize the world outside of our offices and the work that we do. It affects all of us, our families, our friends, and we bring that to work whether we want to or not.
Yeah, that is very true. I've certainly thought about it a lot. Sometimes when I talk to my parents, they say it's so easy for you. You're working from home, and it's so difficult to really explain to ourselves more than to them that there are so many things happening around the world that you lose focus. You tend to look at the news, or you tend to look at social media to see what's going on, and at the back of your mind, something is nagging, and it's just so weird. But I'm really happy that you, our OneDrive SharePoint leadership team or Microsoft team in general have come forward and accepted this reality and is encouraging us to say, take the time off. Like last week when there was this major event, I saw someone in our leadership put an out of office saying, I'm taking the day off because I need to take care of my mental health. Or say when Omar, who's your manager, tweeted that tell your teams and your people it's okay to decline any meeting today and just focus on self-care. If you're a parent, your kids will need you and have questions, be there for them. And I really feel it's stuff like these and encouragement like this that makes you feel so safe and secure within your work environment and take the time to focus on yourself and your family.
Yeah, no, that's right. And I thought those are all great examples, and for example, this pandemic's been going on for so long. Our initial reactions in so much of this is to just push through. It's to be stoic and strong and to respond to the moment. And I think people around the globe have done that so well. But it's easy to run out of steam eventually. And I think it's worth talking about what it is to run out of steam.
Yeah. Yes. Being stoic and strong, it can get so exhausting. I think every one of us have felt this time and again, specifically in the last year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think exhausting is exactly the right word. Each of us experiences everything in the world differently and from our own perspectives, but there are commonalities, and a common experience for so many of us right now is to feel that exhaustion. As we've talked about it as a team, we've realized it's worth kind of acknowledging that a bit, both in ourselves, but also in our teams.
What has the team been talking about? Share with our listeners.
There's a couple of different things, but there are two, I think, that really matter. One is just sharing what we're thinking, what we're feeling. That tweet from Aura I thought was a great one, that creating the room for each other and recognizing each other as more than just maybe our coworkers at all those different levels in an organization is a really helpful way to both validate and enable folks to feel safe in doing that. And it's really important when leaders can do that because it creates that moment that allows folks to have that. And so I think that's kind of step one.
Completely. And I'm assuming the second step would be what to do. For example, I like to make sure and review what's really important and what's maybe urgent and causing some stress, but not truly critical.
Right. That's a great one. And you're absolutely right. Kind of recognizing the truth of all the things coming at you and prioritizing them in a way that's kind of thoughtful to that, even though if it's maybe not everything you'd want to do. Another one that we found is creating ways to create energy for everyone on the team. Each of us finds ways to create energy. We can actually help each other overcome a lot of those pieces because at any given moment, we might all be in different places. And energy isn't necessarily barking at people and telling them to get back to work or to do something. It's to create kind of a positive focus and a positive momentum to kind of surmount these things and get after them.
True. And I have found it super helpful, to be honest, with myself about what I can control and what I don't or can't. I think also to prioritize. It really helps. And it can be a little tough in the beginning, but I feel once you get into that rhythm of prioritizing or asking your superiors and peers that help me prioritize or your family, it takes off a lot of load.
No, I love that as an example, and I think you're absolutely right. And kind of, there's some amount of that's kind of giving yourself some grace and recognizing the things that you or someone else is going through, and just being thoughtful and sensitive to that. And I think in the workplace we can do that in a way that kind of makes everyone feel more connected and really help get through. Because the last note I have on it is that we can get through a lot together. And while challenges may be big, they may even feel insurmountable, things that are at work or things outside in the world around us. The more we encourage each other to see them as things that we impact and we change, the more we take back ownership on that, and the more you put yourself in control. And that prioritization also comes in to say, which are the ones I'm going to focus on? What do I control? What do I not? And for the ones that I do, what am I going to decide to go and be impactful around?
Yeah. I hope all our listeners are tackling 2021 till now. And we really hope that the rest of the year is a great one for all of you. We'll be working hard on making sure there's plenty of great OneDrive features and updates this year to help wherever we can.
Yeah, and there is so much awesome stuff to come. I promise the future is bright.
Yay! We want to take a moment to thank all our listeners and may I say fans for keeping us trending in the top 100 tech news podcasts in the US. Thank you everyone for listening, and we love the feedback that you share with us on social or on our blogs. For today, thank you again to our guest Dave Minasyan. To learn more about OneDrive and the latest developments, please follow our tech community blog at aka.ms/OneDrive/blog.
And please do send us your questions and feedback. You can reach us on Twitter at OneDrive, at Jasmo, and at Ankita_Kirti21. And definitely visit our show page for links, resources, and more at aka.ms/syncup. That's SYNCUP. Subscribe to and follow the show wherever you get your podcasts. If you enjoy SyncUp, tell others what you learned from the show. Word of mouth is still the very best way that people can learn about new podcasts and really any new information.
Thank you again for listening to Sync Up, a show about OneDrive. We are your hosts, Ankita Kirti and Jason Moore. We'll catch up with you next month.